Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots, and today I'm going to be sharing the easiest roller skating gnome. He's made with a pom-pom, and if you'd like to make him with me, just boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here. Be sure to subscribe. All right, so here's what we're making. Last week I shared the roller skates, and this week, oh, we're getting into the full vintage. Do you remember when you went to the roller skating rink and it was old and smelly even when you were a kid and the disco ball beckoned you out there? There were no knee pads or helmets. It more resembled roller derby than roller skating. But anyway, I reminisce because that was my inspiration for making this. Now, I have shared pom pom gnomes made with wire legs two ways, feet and legs. So I'm going to put those videos down below if you want to use the 14 gauge wire. It's a very sturdy wire. But I have probably 1,000 of these paintbrushes that are all dried and crusty. And I have these wooden little dowels with a handy hole. And so I thought, I'm going to use this as a leg. You can use regular dowels too, but last week I shared these really cool rainbow ombre roller skates we made from air dry clay. And if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that first because that has to happen. Of course, you can put this with doll shoes. On these, I would probably go for an 8 or 9-inch doll shoe instead of the 18-inch. But super easy. I'm just using that piece I broke off to paint a nice innocuous color for my legs. And then I dried them, and then I also sealed that color as well. So this is the super easy part. They fit, right? And turn them upside down because you have the where the wire can go right here joining the two of them. You don't have to join them with the wire, but I made a couple, and I will say that this technique is probably the best and the most sturdy. So I wanted one leg to be tilted just like this. And so I'm going to create a nice little structure out of wire. If you don't want that, just plop these right in or create the wire leg and just move on from there. And you can skip that to that part where we start putting on the pom-pom. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue, and if you are selling these, I would absolutely use E6000 as well. So I'm going to add a nice little crown of hot glue around these as well, just to make them just a little more secure because I am going to be moving them around a lot. So we're going to set that aside for a second and grab this 14 gauge wire. Now, if you're new here to Ruffles and Rain Boots and no making, use a very sturdy, very structured wire. Try not to use the floral wire from the Dollar Tree. That stuff will bend and it eventually breaks. So if you are selling anything with that wire, I recommend moving on up. Name that show. Okay, so I'm going to just decide how wide apart I want my skates. And I'm going to cut even longer than that width. And the reason is because I'm going to need a little bit down here on the end to, number one, bend it down, and I need another bit to bend it out. So we're gonna bend it, oh, here we go. There you go. We're gonna bend it a little bit here, and then I'm gonna cut off some excess because we don't need all of this, and the little part at the top isn't that deep. So, whoa, watch your fingers with the wire cutters. Okay, so now we're just gonna pop these two in. You can see they're wider than I originally intended. And now we're gonna bend so one leg is always popped out. So I'm just going to turn one edge and then I'm going to bend the actual wire. And when you put them in, what's going to happen is that one leg will always be kicked up. Okay, watch. See that? It'll always be kicked up. And that is what we want as our base. If you want this look, again, you don't have to do this, but I just wanted to tell you, it took me a couple tries to figure that out. So just FYI, you got to bend the wire, point one wire a little bit back, and then put them in. Again, E6000 and hot glue if you're selling, just because it makes it more secure. But I'm just sticking the glue in there, pressing down. Wait until that dries before moving on. So we're just going to set those aside and get our pom-pom. So if you've been following the pom-pom series, I picked up a pack of pom-poms off of Amazon, but you can make your own fur pom-pom very easily. Cut a square of fabric. That's it. I'm going to find where it joins together. You can see here, some are glued and some are sewn, so it just depends on yours, but they all have this icky polyfill. I don't even know what it is. Just get it. It's so scratchy and it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Okay, so we're just gonna throw that away. So when we open it up, you're gonna notice that there's really pokey parts on the corners. Now, when we press this down on top of each other, we need all of the corners bent in so that they don't stick out and like they'll be a little stiffer than the rest of it, so we just don't want them to stick out. So I'm going to glue down each corner to itself from the fabric backing. Now you're going to go about a ½ inch away from the bottom edge and just add a copious amount of glue. And all we're doing here is we're getting this to stay until we can build our pom-pom around it. So you're going to want to hold that until it stays. So you can see I'm about ½ inch away from that bottom. And now that that's down, you can either just pull it right down all the way around. And again, you can sew it closed or you can glue it closed. But I'm going to add a tiny little bit. I want to add a lot of hot glue, but then I'm going to add a tiny little bit of polyfill to replace just that center portion. So don't put your fingers in there because it's hot. I'm just going to stuff it in there. All right, so now I'm just going to glue this all up on the sides and across that bottom portion, covering up the very top of the legs and all of that wire. So when you do it, after you get it on, pull it apart, make sure you have everything joined, and you can see right here I have a tiny little hole, so I'm definitely going to want to close that by squishing that up. I checked all the other pieces, gave them a nice little floof, and then I have these Santa glasses. Well, I call them Santa glasses, but then I was like, are they hippie glasses? Could I use these? They're doll glasses, just in case you want to know, but I decided I didn't like it. What you're going to do for the nose is just split the fur to the fabric backing in between the two legs and a little higher up on the body than you might think. Add a dollop of hot glue, take a wood round. You can use a ½ inch, 3/4 inch, whatever size you want, and then press it in. You can also use a pom-pom or a clay bead you make. And guess what? I was playing with him for a good 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So here he is. I absolutely love him because it was full of nostalgia for me. Now I want a pair of rainbow roller skates. But let me know down in the comments, what do you think? I'll put the playlist down in the description box. And as always, thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.